So today we are taking a look at the new MacBook Air with M1 processor. This is an ARM-based computer, ARM-based PC. It's a deja vu for me. It's like Windows RT and Surface RT of 2012. Let's see what Apple did here. We open it, we take a look. We take a look inside how it's built. So till now, no surprises. It feels like a MacBook Air. I wouldn't know if they shipped the right one. Ah, there's a chime. There's chime again. Wow. So good news, there's chime again. And now it's booting. There's a fingerprint sensor. The keyboard is the new one. The display color is fine, new operation system. So maybe let's change the language. Two USB-C ports and a 3.5mm headphone. It's very weird for me because I don't use Apple ecosystem, and if you have an iPhone and you have a MacBook, you need two different headphones. It's very weird for me. But okay, let's see. Trackpad feels the same. It's the Force Touch. Display color is very nice. This is much improvement from the last MacBook Air. So I don't need accessibility. Okay. It's very funny that many ideas start with Microsoft and then Apple perfects it. When Bill Gates came out with Windows XP Tablet PC Edition, as a kid, as a teenager, that was very exciting for me. And then it didn't work out till Apple came out with iPad. And now here again, Steven Sinofsky and Steve Ballmer, they were very excited about Windows on ARM. And it never took off. And now we have a Mac with ARM. And to be honest, set up later. I don't have an Apple ID. And to be honest, Apple has a lot of history with ARM. They started ARM with digital, with DEC. So username Mac, password Mac. Till now it feels just like an x86 PC, just like an x86 MacBook. There is no difference. I don't feel any difference. There was the chime, that's different. There is no fan, no sound, no moving parts, no hard disk, nothing inside. Screen time. Oh. So I don't need. Touch ID. True tone display. So we just unpacked it. The battery is almost full. And about this Mac. MacBook Air M1, 8GB of RAM. Wow. Let's test some x86 programs. I don't feel any difference. And as my colleagues are opening the devices, inside it looks very much like the 2019-2020 MacBook Air. Ah, Geekbench is not compatible. Now let's look at Geekbench. Download Geekbench. it looks very similar to the old MacBook Air. This is the main board. There is no fan. They have some kind of thermal conductive material here to cool down the processor. Not many chipsets to see. Here is probably the Usbc controller. Is here USB-C? Kannst du auch das Headset abmachen? From inside, this is the force touch. Force touch is connected to the main board. There's the audio port. There's the USB-C port. There's the display, and the display is just like the MacBooks with USB-C with this very fragile flex cable. The battery looks the same as the old MacBook Air. The loudspeakers they look a bit different. The hinge is the same, feels the same. Wow, I don't see much difference. Very well built. And this is it. This is the processor, this is the RAM. Wow, that's the SSD, and that's it. System on a chip. Now we will swap the main boards with these two laptops. We want to see if the displays work after the main board is swapped. I got inspired by a YouTuber, I forgot his name. I'm sure you have probably seen the video. He swapped the iPhone boards. Let's take a look if the MacBooks are compatible. And now here, Geekbench. So Geekbench is not programmed for ARM. This is an x86 program. And it just opened. CPU architecture, Apple Silicon. 3.2 gigahertz, wow. So let's run a benchmark. Very interesting. Geekbench just opened. This is not an ARM program. This is not compiled for ARM. This is an x86 program. Rosetta 2 is translating it. 2005, when Rosetta 1 came out and OS X 10.4 Intel based, it was laggy. You would feel that the programs are being translated. With the Core 2 generations, with the first generation of MacBooks, 32-bit Core 2s, it was noticeable. With Mac Minis, it was noticeable. With Mac Pro 1.1, 2.1, 3.1, it became better and better and better, but it was never the same. But here I'm very impressed till now. It's cold, it feels cold. I see some visual changes in operation system. I didn't feel any functional change till now. Wow, multi-core 7618. And this is a translated program. This is running on a virtual machine. This is impressive. x86 is dead. It's a legacy architecture now. We are kids who grow up with x86. It's very nostalgic to me. And especially the connection between Intel and Microsoft. I'm a huge Microsoft fan. I mean, if you are getting 7600 multi-core score on Geekbench on a translated app, on not a native ARM app, why would you need x86 again? I really don't know what is Intel's plan. Intel is still stuck to 14 nanometer processors, 10 nanometer. They are This is 5 nanometer ARM. This is, I mean, Intel, they decided against building their factory 10 years ago, and now they're paying for it. This is fast. For normal users, I wouldn't think that a normal user would feel a difference or would know that they're running a different kind of processor, that it's not the Intel processor under it. It doesn't get warm. That would show. Let's run it again. Let's take a look at Chrome. Okay, so Chrome is giving me an option for Mac with Apple chip or Mac with Intel chip. Just to test Rosetta 2, I'm going to download Mac with Intel chip. This is what Microsoft thought Windows 8 on ARM would be. This is what they thought Windows RT would be, which was far ahead in its time. It was a revolutionary idea back then. And now the question is, okay, if you have Mac OS X on ARM, what are you going to do with iPad? I mean, this is much, much better than iPad. iPad feels like a toy compared to this. This is a real operating system with real file browser, with a terminal, with everything. You can do whatever you want with this. What is, I mean, okay, iPad is touch optimized, but what is stopping Apple from putting a touch screen on this? Because it can also run Apple iPad programs, apps. And what is stopping Apple from making this run on a tablet? So, Chrome. What did I do with Chrome? Chrome is installed. Let's open Chrome. Ah, no, Geekbench wasn't translated. Geekbench was ARM because now it wants to install Rosetta. I thought Rosetta is installed already. So is Rosetta installed now? Google Chrome is an app download from internet. Open. I thought Geekbench is still an x86. I didn't know that it's an ARM program because obviously we didn't have Rosetta installed here. So Chrome is default. Okay, Chrome is default. I don't know. Chrome works. And it's an x86 version of Chrome. I mean, if you are opening Chrome so easily, if you are using Chrome so easily, I also want to test the x86 version of Geekbench to see how fast that is. For the average user, there is no, okay, it's lagging a bit, but that's to be expected. Ars Technica is a WordPress-based website. It's very heavy. Ah, Chrome quit unexpectedly. Okay, so it's not as... So with this MacBook now, we replace the mainboard. We swap the mainboard between this MacBook and the other MacBook. It turns on, it stays on. Good news till now. English. Let's see if we can set up the MacBook with the wrong mainboard, with a mainboard from another laptop. So here the display, trackpad, keyboard, webcam, Touch ID, they are not original. They don't belong to this laptop. I would also like to download Chrome for ARM, Chrome for Apple chip. Ah, Chrome crashed again. So it's not as smooth as I thought it is, but it's okay. Safari works. So yeah, now Chrome with app for Apple chip. It's very hard for a Microsoft fanboy to see this because Microsoft always comes up with the idea first. They had the Pocket PCs with Windows C running, and they never got it right till iPhone came out and revolutionized everything. They had tablet PCs running since forever. They never got it right till iPad came out. And they had their main operation system, the whole Windows, running on ARM back in 2012 with Surface RT. And it never worked. The emulation wasn't there. There is now. It's not as fast as this. Let's see if the Touch ID works after we swap the mainboard. So the Touch ID doesn't work, expected, that should have been replaced. The display works. Let's see. No, the Touch ID should have been swapped. Obviously, this Touch ID is not compatible with another mainboard. The display looks good. I'm interested in the webcam. I'm interested in True Tone for the display. If those things work, then this MacBook would still be repairable. So display. No True Tone. No True Tone with a swap display. And it didn't even offer me in the options. The webcam works, wow. And the webcam is the old 720p webcam that Apple has been using since forever. Because it's very expensive. Webcams are very expensive nowadays. We can't afford to have a new webcam. Very good. So that was it. The mainboards are swappable. You need to swap the Touch ID too. The display True Tone wouldn't work. Probably Chinese would come up with some tools for that. They will wait. And the first impressions are good. Rosetta crashed with Chrome. Let's test another program. What program should we test? Carbon copy. Geekbench was also the ARM version.
You may also run the Apple hardware test and see what it says.
Interesting, yeah, right. So that we can do here. Carbon copy cloner opens. Let me see if I can find a Geekbench for Windows. No, sorry, for x86. Mac OS 6. Processor. No hardware test. Now try again. Very interesting. It's a sad feeling for us kids who grew up with x86 that now you have an ARM computer and it just works, it boots, it opens all the apps. Now we are the legacy generation, just like x86. This is very impressed. First impressions, very impressed. We will do other tests in the next videos. Till then. Now this is the x86 version of Geekbench. And as you can see, it doesn't say M1 3.2 GHz, now it says virtual Aper 2.5 GHz. So this is the virtual CPU and we will run a benchmark now.
Das ist doch nicht echt.
Now it's running the.
Guck mal, wie schlecht die Paste ist. Verstehst du nicht? Die muss platt
Guck dir
gedrückt
mal das an.
Das muss platt gedrückt werden.
So this is a very weird kind of paste that Apple has used. It's not flat over the chip. It's just two single lines in the middle. I don't know how good is the cooling effect there. Apple is not known for doing such a good job of cooling. They always have quirks when it comes to their cooling paste. Then the main cooling paste is spread very well. The RAM it's got some kind of black thermal paste. I've never seen it before. The USB-C chipsets, they are the CD3217B12, very close model number to x86 MacBooks or x64 Intel MacBooks. Very close in model number. The display connector looks the same. They are using very good capacitors. That's to be expected. The SSD NAND is what is it? Is it Samsung K1C? What is K1C? Samsung?
Ja.
No, SSD chips. So now the benchmark is running. The model number of the SSD feels like a Samsung chipset to me, I'm not sure. That's the whole mainboard. I mean, it's the same size as the Intel MacBook Air, but you have to keep in mind there is much lower latency between the RAM and the CPU. There is no T2 chipset anymore. It was a horrifying. The best thing about the death of x86, x64 on Macs is the absence of T2. This chipset was very badly built. A lot of SSD problems because the SSD control was in the T2. A lot of times the T2 just gets cropped. And now this is the multi-core score running x64 Intel Geekbench emulated using Rosetta 2 on M1 MacBook Air using ARM. Wow, this is the king is dead. x86 is dead. This is who would need x86 again? I really don't know. Of course, they have the server market, they have the gaming market, but for consumer laptops, this is. We will edit the film that we shot today. We will edit it using this new MacBook Air to see how the performance is. No, sorry. I will download Adobe programs. We will get our movies on it, and we will take a look at how the performance is.
Kann ich das wiederholen?